Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler, and today we have another incredible guest, Josef Stetter. I will bring him onto the broadcast shortly. We are streaming live on mspnewsglobal.com. We're streaming on Facebook, Periscope, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and we're also live on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, and many, many more. I'm just going to give an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Luxury Watches and Fine Jewellery at craigshelley.com. So let's bring in our guest today, Josef Stetter, the career finding guru. Josef, welcome to Brilliance Business TV.
Mark, it's an honor and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
It's great to have you here. I've been lucky enough to interview you before, Josef, and I'm happy to have you here as my guest again. Now, I know the great work that you do with your clients, Josef, helping them to get into work, even if they don't have the kind of qualifications they feel they need. You help them to stand out from the crowd. So I would like to go backwards a little bit, and can you just share your journey of what has led you to where you are today?
Absolutely. So I'd like to start by saying I didn't know what I want to do when I grow up. So I've switched careers about 9 times and jobs 18 times. And in the process there, I started kind of recognizing patterns. When I was downsized from finance, I went into recruiting, and I've been in recruiting for nearly 20 years. I've recruited for companies like Deloitte and Touche, Apotex Pharmaceuticals, IBM, Aecon Construction, and kind of learned patterns through my recruiting. And on top of that, I've written 6 books now. You mentioned one, Canada, Congratulations, You're Hard. There's also a US version called USA, Congratulations, You're Hard. It was easier than you thought. And I've personally coached 11,000 people. I have a 90% success rate of finding anybody employment in any field in under 3 months. And the fastest I found about 30 people a job is 2 days. So I've kind of created a system where I focus on here's the mistakes or here's what you're not doing. And that's why no one is responding to you, as opposed to kind of regurgitating, you should do this and you should do this. I actually say, no, go do this. Here's the result you'll get. Here's why, kind of thing.
It's really, really interesting work that you're doing. And have you got any stories, Josef, of where you have had to find your own job and you've had to put all these skills that you teach your clients now? Give us some examples of where you have had to do that.
So, obviously, like when I switched careers 9 times, I had to kind of go back and show that I have the transferable skills. So, for example, I got hot, like, even though I don't have an official university degree in HR, I've been in recruiting for so long and I've written 20 manuals for companies. So I was hired by an experiential marketing firm to basically be their HR manager or co-HR manager, where we had a team of 10 and our job was to recruit, let's say, sales professionals or marketing samplers across Canada in a very, very short time frame. When I came in, I kind of said, here's the results I produced because this is how I do things. And we were finding as many as, let's say, 300 people a week across Canada to find that. It wasn't the designation, it was the salesmanship. It was the fact that I could teach the rest of my team salesmanship for it and what I can do. But on the flip side of it, let's say in terms of career coaching, my brother was finishing his third year mechanical engineering, applied for an internship. By the time one of the companies responded to him, it was going to be more of a paper pusher job, and he already registered for his fourth year university courses. So I decided to go in as my brother. I studied economics and business in university. The only thing I know about mechanical engineering is what I wrote for him on his resume. I decided to go in. My first interview, there was 100 students there from 4 major universities in Ontario, Canada. Within 45 minutes, human resource called me back, said, "We love you. We need to come back for a second interview." I was like, all right, let's see how far I could take this. My second interview was with the manager of the department that I'd potentially work in. Now, I spoke the truth about my brother's resume. So my brother designed a wheelchair for third world nations that uses a tank chain so it can go on any terrain. Came second in Ontario for the best mechanical engineering project of the year, won $500 from a major bank in Canada, told the manager I studied thermodynamics and quantum physics. To this day, I have no idea what those are. Didn't even leave the parking lot. Manager called me on the cell phone and said, "I adore you. I need to come back for a third and final interview." I was one of the final 3. I was the first one in at 8:30 in the morning. Manager walked over to me and goes, "Here's your offer letter. The job's yours. All you have to do is pass this mechanical engineering test." I kind of looked at him. I looked at the test, looked at him, looked at him. I'm like, I can't do this test. Manager looked at me and goes, "I know you're nervous. Let me help you." He solved the first 2 questions for me. Right. I looked at him. I said, "I am so sorry for wasting your time. I guess I'm a lot more comfortable with the design than I am with the calculations. I'm not the right candidate for this job. Thank you for the opportunity." Manager followed me to the car and begged me to take the job because I'd interviewed that much better than every other engineer that came for the job. Right. So this is kind of what I teach people that I help in terms of job finding is if you know how to sell yourself, if you know how to brand yourself, right, whether you're in business or whether it's seeking a job, you will succeed. And when you take those action steps, you will succeed.
That's a great story, and it just goes to show just doing that little bit extra, something that will make you shine a little bit more than all the others. And it can be such small things as well that will really make a big difference. I really like that story, Joseph. Now,
thank you.
We have had a really, really hard year where we've had the global pandemic, everyone's locked down, businesses have gone out of business, we've had people losing jobs, unemployment, it's at an all-time high, and it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. How have you found this situation, and are you finding there's more demand for your work?
Well, absolutely there's more demand because in North America alone, there's about 65 million people that lost their job due to the pandemic. Now, here's the thing. They might have lost, let's say, a retail frontline job, but there's a shift now where, for example, you can work in a virtual call center and work from home and still have those opportunities. The biggest problem is that most people don't know either how to transition to something else, where to find the information that there's opportunities, or how to, let's say, convince a company that they have the transferable skills or they have the can-do attitude and the gumption to kind of do a little bit extra and succeed in a new opportunity. So absolutely, there is more demand now because when I tell people simple things that they can do to stand out right away, they're like, wow, I didn't know that. And those are the things that I focus on when I try to explain to people there are jobs. Yes, a lot of companies lost or closed their business, but a lot of companies are also kind of reinventing who they are because they have to accommodate for a virtual world, for example. Right.
Yes. It's a whole new world, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunity once we see the light at the end of the tunnel, where there'll be all kinds of new digital jobs as well. So what would you say are some of the biggest obstacles and challenges? Say, give me your top 5 that someone is going to face in getting their job or a career where they really need that support because they don't feel overly qualified or they don't feel they are right for the job but they want it? What are going to be the biggest challenges that they run into?
So number one, their resume is too generic. So people kind of tend to focus, I know how to do this, I know how to do this, I know how to do this, versus here's the results I produced, here's the kind of achievements I had or the accomplishments I had that sell me better than just I know how to do this. That's the first mistake. The second mistake is that most people spend most of their time kind of on the online job boards such as Indeed looking for a job. It's probably the worst resource you can use to find a job because there's so much competition. Prior to the pandemic, one job posting was getting between 350 and 5,000 applications. Now, because of the pandemic, it's probably 4 times as high. So if you're sending a resume to a job posting, and let's just say there's 1,000 people sending, most companies look at the first 100. So if you're 101, you're out of luck. And if you don't know the tricks to get noticed or make sure that your resume is one of the top 100s, you get left behind, right? And this is why people get so frustrated. The next mistake I would say is that people are very passive. They send a resume and they wait. They're not proactive in terms of reaching out. They're not proactive in terms of having a conversation saying, hey, even when they network, it's kind of cookie cutter. Like, hi, I'm looking for a job. You're an executive. Here, hire me. I don't know who you are. I don't know why I should hire you. You need to establish that relationship. And also, I'd say the next part is if they do get interviews, for some reason, we've been programmed to just kind of repeat skills. Yes, I'm very hardworking. I'm dedicated. I'm committed. I've been doing recruiting for nearly 20 years. I've met very few people that go to an interview and say, listen, I'm lazy. I'll show up late every day. None of my work will be any good. And I really hate people. Please hire me. The only way that would work, and then you might be able to get away with it, is if you're related to somebody higher up in the company or you're potentially having an affair with them. Let's be honest, right? So the more generic you are, the more you blend in, the more they don't care.
I agree totally, Joseph. And I think you are right that people worry about getting back in touch, following up, and in entrepreneurship, in business, nothing will happen unless you do follow up. And sometimes it could be up to 3 times I do follow-ups, and then you find you get the result on the 3rd follow-up. But there are a lot of people out there like, oh, well, I don't want to pester them. And it's like, no, you've got to run after things and go and grab them. So I agree with you totally on that. And what tips can you give us to create more opportunities out there? So you've gave us the problems, give us some solutions now to be really proactive, because there are going to be a lot of people out there who are looking for work, who do want a change of direction.
So starting with similar to business, you need to brand yourself. So if you notice, I'm wearing a purple shirt. I'm wearing my favorite watch. Why? Because every time I go somewhere, people notice the watch. It's a conversation starter. When I follow up and I say, hey, Mark, I'm the guy with the purple shirt, you might not remember my name, but you remember the branding of the purple shirt because there's an emotional connection to it. Yes. That's the first. That's the first part. The second part, and this is where, like, let's say your show is brilliant, and in that it allows somebody like myself to reach more people and explain to them. So you can call a company, an executive, and instead of saying, hey, I need a job, speak about them. So you're a successful marketer. Tell me what made you so successful. What are your 3 biggest achievements? Once I build that relationship with you because you've talked about yourself, and I ask you to open up your network after we've established that relationship, you're probably more likely to open up and introduce me to people than if I just came and said, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can you hire me? Right. Thirdly, you should kind of focus your career search in 5 different ways. 10% of your time should be the job boards like Indeed. Now, one of the things to remember is that you can have the job posting emailed to you. So instead of having 8 hours a day of scrolling through pages and pages on Indeed, do it once and then have Indeed email you daily the new job postings. Now, in that, let's say if you posted your resume at the beginning of January on Indeed and you haven't touched it, you're probably on page 6,000 by now. No one is seeing your resume. So in order to be noticed, for example, every night before you go to bed, and especially for people that are in Eastern Standard Time between 11:45 p.m. and 2:45 a.m., go anywhere on your resume, press the space bar, and press save. The moment that you make any minor modification into your resume, you are considered a new resume. So you're refreshed in the database, and you've increased your chances of being noticed by hiring professionals. Okay. The second thing that you should do is use employment agencies or recruiters. They already have established relationships with companies. Don't just register with 1 or 2, register with at least 5, because I assume that at least 2 of them will not like you for whatever reason they don't like you, right? But if 2 or 3 do like you, they're probably working on the same job orders. So when 3 companies send you to the same company, or 3 employment agencies send you to the same company, you've now increased your chances that much more significantly. The third, and this should be about 25% of your time. 25% of your time should be optimizing your LinkedIn profile, making sure that you have written testimonials or video testimonials on your profile that give you credibility for the kind of work that you do and how good you are, because companies do check it, right? Not just I work here and I did this, but results and testimonials, not liking your skills. That's 25% of your time. 25% of your time should be strategic networking. And again, when you go networking, brand yourself a certain way, have a conversation about them first, and then tie it into what you're looking for, right? And that should be 25%. And then the remaining 15% of your job search should be picking, let's say, 10 companies that you really want to work for and starting to build that rapport slowly but surely in order to be successful in creating a position that doesn't exist, which is the best position you can have because you get to dictate the working conditions, the environment, the pay, everything like that, because no one's ever done this role before. And that one usually takes the longest, but it's the most rewarding if you're ready and willing to put in the time and the effort to kind of go, I want to be this, for example.
Joseph, there's some real pearls of wisdom there. What I did like, and a lot of people just would not know, that by going on and updating or making an adjustment, it bumps their resume right back to the top, so it's got more chance of getting noticed, and people just would not know that. So that is just a great word of wisdom. Now, if a client was coming to you, what does that look like when you start working with them? What's the process? What do you do with them?
So first of all, I try to understand what's their focus: security, income, growth, or happiness, let's say. Are they driven by money? Are they driven by the job title? Are they driven by, happiness in the job? Second of all, are they looking to stay in what they've already done, or are they looking to change? Once I understand that, it's kind of like, okay, let's rebrand your resume in a sense that we have personality with color that you like, different font than everybody else's uses, the results that you produce that I don't need to guess, because somebody writes, hey, I'm very good at analysis. I can create reports. I don't know what that means. For all I know, you did analysis on 2 variables and you wrote me a 1-page report. Whoop-de-doo kind of thing. I'm not that excited, right? If you look at Mark, and since we've kind of worked together, when we talked about you publishing an article of experts, you guarantee that 100,000 people will view that article, right? To me, as someone that's trying to grow my business, I'm like, wow, 100,000 views, that's great. That can open a lot of doors. I need to know that result versus I can get you some social media traffic, right? Because I don't know what that means, right? If I have 5 likes on my thing, I can get 5 likes on my own. I don't need to hire you, kind of thing. Right. And then we kind of so I've kind of created a system where it's called the Land Your Dream Job Now program. And you can either do it online by yourself or you can do it with me. And I've basically put my 25,000 hours of experience and knowledge into, if you don't take action, you'll fail. But if you take action, I guarantee the results, because you cannot fail, because your resume will stand out. The way you're interviewing will be specific and to the point of what companies are looking for. The way your network will be targeted. The way that you brand yourself when you network will tie in. The way that you use LinkedIn will be targeted, right? I have clients that I literally change their LinkedIn profile at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. By 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 different companies called the person that I changed their LinkedIn profile, said, can you come in for an interview today? Kind of thing, right? Because again, knowing, not that I'm a social media expert, but I know this is what the science is behind job searching. In my program, I have 15 templates for resumes, how to interview correctly, how to network correctly, how to negotiate salary correctly, how to beat the databases, how to work with employment agencies, how to ask for referrals correctly, how to think outside the box. And when I say think outside the box, for example, buying a box of donuts and sending the box to the department that you want to work in, and inside the box is your resume, for example, right? It sounds silly, but it gets noticed because the team's eating the donuts. Like, wow, he bought us donuts. He's not even part of the team yet. It creates that interest. It creates that, and so to be creative about that, mistakes to avoid, where you can network. Here's the agencies that you can work with. Here's all the job boards that you need to know about. Pretty much, I've done all the homework for you. All you have to do is take action.
Again, just great tips. And I mean, that is going to impress your new employers or your new to-be boss, getting a packet of donuts and before you've even got the job. That is just
donuts, fortune cookies, a singing telegram. Even like I've had people that, let's say, find out that a particular manager loves reading a particular newspaper. So they showed up at 5:30 a.m., waited for the delivery guy, and then stuffed their resume in each section of the newspaper, for example, right? So there's a lot of ways to be creative to get noticed. You just have to take a little bit of effort to do so.
But that is actually doing a few things as well, Joseph. It's building a relationship, and it's showing that you've put thought and you've made effort. And that shows that you're really serious about what you want, because you're going the extra mile. Just really, really great tips. Now, Joseph, we're going to a commercial break, so bear with us. Thank you, everyone, for joining part 1 of Brilliance Business TV. We are here with Josef Stetter. He has shared his background and what has led him into what he does today in helping individuals to get their dream jobs and careers. He has shared some of the challenges that we're facing right now in the jobs market and career market, and he has shared a lot of tips. So join us after the commercial break when we'll go into more detail of Josef Stetter. Join us in 1. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV conversations with leading experts in business. We're here with Josef Stetter, the career binding guru. Josef, welcome back to Brilliance Business TV.
Thank you very much, Mark.
So, my next question, Josef, you shared so much wisdom in the first part of the show. I would like to know, who are you calling out for? Who are you a match for? Who is your product and service ideal for?
I would say that anybody that's kind of career focused, that's looking to make, let's say, $60,000 and above, because again, the entry level jobs like working in a call center, if you're proactive, you don't necessarily need my services, but some of the tips that I gave in terms of giving results, like when I worked back in the day in call centers, I wrote on my resume, I answered 100 calls in 8 hours or 150 calls in 8 hours. Like, as soon as companies saw that, they're like, wow, do you want to work here, kind of thing, because it stands out. But anybody that's career focused, and the career focus is just enjoying what you do, having that, professional side of things. So I usually work with engineers, accountants, financial professionals, construction from site supervisor to project and above, let's say, medicine, pharmaceutical, environment, law, generally in the service industry is kind of where I focus most of my efforts, because those are the ones that usually, especially if you've been working for a company for a very long time, you might have forgotten all of these things that you need to do to get hired. And if you've been interviewing for many years because you've been in leadership, you've probably developed a few bad habits that you forgot, like you're not even paying attention that you do because you're so comfortable interviewing that when you're interviewing, you can't do those, right? And it's a level of, again, going back to how you market yourself, how you brand yourself, how are you being different than everybody else that's on the market, kind of thing.
Thank you. And my next question is, Josef, I know you do a lot in the corporate world as well. So could you just tell us a little bit about that?
So I work in the corporate world. I call it as a corporate culturist or recruiter plus. So I help businesses hire the right people and keep them. And I service businesses in 5 pillars. So the first is obviously recruiting and headhunting. I do not use any of the databases like Indeed when I find you people. I actually use my network. I use AI strategies and very advanced ways to find you the best people. And I guarantee it better than anybody in the market, because when I recruit for you, I guarantee it for a year. The industry standard is 3 months. On top of that, I do personality assessments. So I've partnered up with very large personality assessments where if the company has turnover, I can pinpoint exactly why there's turnover and where. But also, I use the personality assessments on every candidate that I interview to make sure that when I present a candidate, the company has the entire picture of not only the technical skills, but the value and the kind of how they work. The third part of what I do is corporate culture. And even though this is a very popular buzzword right now, a lot of organizations don't understand that you don't need to give everybody big raises. You can treat them better and therefore get better results.
Yes, that's a good one.
Right. So, for example, my uncle was the president of the company that did the Canada Arm, so the equivalent of NASA in Canada. And we were having dinner one day and he said to me, you know what, my engineers and my computer programmers often forget to eat. They're so focused on solving a problem that they're just working. I said, okay, let's do this as an experiment for the next month and a half. I want you to send somebody from your company to Costco once a week and buy, fruits, granola bars, cookies, gummy bears, chocolate, and leave it in the lunchroom. Productivity within 2 weeks increased by 20%. So when we're talking about 20% increase in productivity, we're talking about the space station for Canada. So we're not talking tens of thousands of dollars. We're talking tens of millions of dollars in revenue increase for what they do. So it's simple things like that where a lot of organizations forget that you can treat people better, and oh my God, you can get amazing results from it. The fourth pillar that I help is social responsibility. Again, very popular buzzword, but I go to a lot of organizations. They're like, oh yeah, we build a house for Habitat for Humanity. But then I find out from the staff that they're forcing their staff to come in on a Saturday, Sunday. And Saturday, Sunday is my time. It's a weekend time. So if you want to be socially responsible, pay them Thursday, Friday to go build a house for Habitat for Humanity. And if they're enjoying the experience, let them choose to come back on the weekend, for example. And a lot of organizations don't understand that. And then the final thing of what I do is basically the outplacement. So when companies are affected right now by a pandemic or, business turns the wrong way and they need to downsize their staff, because I also have an online course, I can put a lot of the staff through the online course, or I can do the one-on-one, especially for the executives that have been out of the job market for a while, for that extra value added to make sure that they're taken care of.
You're so right. Looking after your team, your employees, and making a more fun environment to work in. And that makes total sense, Joseph. But so many companies don't treat their staff the way they should be treated.
That's the number one reason people leave a job, is the way that they're treated. And most executives look at an Excel spreadsheet and forget, I need to talk to the people that work here. I might get some insights.
Definitely. Now, you are building such a great Facebook community, Joseph. Tell us a little bit about this.
So I have a Facebook group called Land Your Dream Job Now. And basically part of that is kind of motivational quotes, tips. People can kind of ask questions in the group and I try to answer them. I do a variety of webinars, so people that are in the group can kind of join the webinar. They can get information on the online course. They can get information about kind of working with me one-on-one. Again, it's designed to help people go to the next level of where they want to be, right? Even if they want to be an entrepreneur, and I fully support that. Sometimes, life happens, like you go through a nasty divorce and you need to get a great job or a great career to finance your dream of becoming an entrepreneur, right? Or pandemic hit you and you've lost a great job and you want to get back into what you consider to be your identity or what you consider to what you're good at. And so I'm here to kind of go, here, I've given you free tips now as part of this interview. Imagine what I will give you once I get into the details of literally kind of optimizing everything, where you're getting responses in as little as a few hours sometimes. But, the fastest I've placed people is 2 days, exactly in their field and exactly what job. And I've worked with a lot of, let's say, new immigrants that had zero Canadian experience and got them hired in their realm or in their career. I've had people that have had criminal records that I got them hired in finance, even though they had a criminal record, because I know how to address certain concerns and bring that to the table from a perspective of success, right? And my focus is to help as many people as possible realize not only that there's hope, but there's plenty of opportunities if you know what to do and you're very strategic in approaching your job search.
I would encourage everyone to join the Facebook group, learn, grow, get out there into the world, land your dream job. Go to Land Your Dream Job now. Joseph, I have really enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Is there anything we did not cover that you'd like to share?
First of all, the pleasure and the honor was all mine. Thank you for the opportunity, Mark.
It's my pleasure.
And again, I want people to know that they can ask me a question. Like if they want to have a quick conversation with me for the sake of just asking one thing, even if they're not necessarily ready to invest in my program, I'm here to support them. I'm here to kind of give them those tools or resources, because you know what? If there's one thing I'm learning is that the more you have people around you that support you, and Henry Ford was kind of on trial for not being intelligent enough to run the Ford Motor Company. And in his trial, the lawyer asked him, who in history did blah, blah, blah? And he looked at the lawyer and said, who cares? Why do I need to know that? And the lawyer said, you see, you're not intelligent enough to run the company. And he said, no, I'm intelligent enough to press a button because I have this thing called a phone, and I can bring you whatever expert in the world that knows history to answer your stupid question. My mind is focused on building a car. That's all I need to know. I don't need to know about stuff in history that is irrelevant to me, right? And so even for me, as much as I love helping people find a job, I reach out to somebody like yourself, Mark, because you're a brilliant marketer and you do great PR and you've produced results and I've seen the results. So I come back to you, right? And I go, okay, let me surround myself. If I'm not very good at the marketing side of things, let me hire great marketers. If I'm not good at accounting, I have a great accountant. You know, if I need to create legal contracts, I hire a great lawyer. And this is where myself as a resource to find jobs, it's like I can give you that one tip that will push you over the kind of wall that you keep hitting to actually find the result or produce the results. And then even if you didn't hire me officially, but I produced the results, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to have that testimonial that, you know what, you had one conversation with me and what a difference it made kind of thing.
And that's a great thing about you, Josef. You are very giving. Even today, you've gave a lot of your tips away and some of your strategies. So I can imagine when people are working with you, you've got a lot more to give them, and it's only the icing on the cake. I
could probably spend 3 days and still not get through everything that I need to get through in terms of giving people the aha moments that will make such a huge impact for them.
Josef, thank you so much for being on the Brilliance Business TV show. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.